Hi, my dear pathology buddies. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever may be the time you are seeing this video. Last week, 21st of May 2020, I was doing a webinar, and some people asked me about the rosettes. So I thought I will do a small video on rosettes and how to approach a rosette, both true and pseudo rosettes. The objectives will be: what is the definition of rosette, what are the types, let us see the examples of them, and what is the differential diagnosis, and what is the final conclusion on rosettes. And I will give you a reference as usual in the beginning. And this is the beautiful reference in American Journal of Neuroradiology 2006 March, page number 488 to 492. The title is Neuropathology for the Neuroradiologists, Rosettes and Pseudo-Rosettes. It's an excellent article. Please read it. So according to the English definition, rosette means diminutive of rose, and it is used from mid-18th century, and the word is derived from French. Even the badge we use for the conferences are also known as rosettes. But for pathology definition, it's a spoke wheel arrangement of cells surrounding a central core or hub. This definition is very important. What are the types of rosettes? Primary rosettes and secondary rosettes. This is one way of classifying the rosettes. In primary rosettes, they are the characteristic growth pattern of a particular tumor. Usually rosettes are formed by neuronal tumors. And secondary rosettes, you can see it in any tumor. It is the influence of external factors on tumors. For example, cell swelling, where the nuclei are pushed to the periphery and the cytoplasm is spreading centripetally, so that it will give you a pseudo-rosette appearance. But in pathology, the true classification which we have to follow is true rosettes and pseudo-rosettes. True rosette, the central structure is formed by the tumor, whereas in pseudo-rosette, the central structure shows native non-neoplastic element. This is very essential to remember. Usually it is blood vessels. So whenever you see nice blood vessel in the center of a rosette, it is a pseudo-rosette. And please remember, it is a native non-neoplastic element. The cells forming the rosettes can be pyramidal, columnar, cuboidal, oval, or round. When they are pyramidal, the base is away from the central core and apex is facing the central core. The shape of the nucleus can be oval or round. So as we told, rosettes are mainly classified on practical purpose into true rosettes and pseudo rosettes, and they have their own differential diagnosis. The common true rosettes which we see are Homer-Wright rosettes, pineocytomatous or neurocytic rosettes, Flexner Wintersteiner rosettes, and ependymal rosettes. The differential diagnosis is transverse section of the glands and papillary processes. Further down this video, let us see one by one. This is a classic example of Homer-Wright rosettes. James Homer-Wright is the first director of Mass General Pathology Lab, and he is also the developer of the famous stain, Wright stain. And he described these rosette-like structures in adrenal and sympathetic tumors, and now we know them as neuroblastomas. Here, the cells are arranged radially with a central space filled with the neuropil material. So these are all very round, uniform rosettes. Let us see how we can put it diagrammatically. I always believe when you draw it like a cartoon, you will get the basic concept very well. So I'm trying to do a small cartoon of drawing the Homer-Wright rosettes. The central is the neuropil, and neuropil is going in between the cells. We finished drawing the cells, we are drawing the nuclei now. And these neuropils are also seen surrounding the tumor cells. So as by the definition, the center space is occupied by the tumor component. That is the definition of a true rosette. This type of rosette can be seen in neuroblastoma, medulloblastoma, primitive neuroectodermal tumors, and penioblastomas. They are more poorly differentiated neuronal tumors. What is a penicytic or neurocytic rosette? It is very similar to Homerite rosettes, but these are larger and more irregular in size and shape. Otherwise, it will be exactly the same as Homerite rosettes. Let us see how to draw that by a small cartoon. So these are relatively large and irregular. We are drawing the cells now, the nuclei, and the central substance is continuous in between the cells as well as around the cells. So again, it follows the definition of true rosette. And these type of rosettes are seen in pineocytoma and central neurocytoma. The third rosette is Flexner and Wintersteiner rosettes. Simon Flexner is the director of Rockefeller Institute, and he is the one who identified the dysentery bacillus, whereas Wintersteiner is the Austrian ophthalmologist. They described these rosettes in the late 18th or early 19th century. Here you can see the nice rosettes, and the central space, you can see the cellular processes extending. They are not filled up. There is some empty space. They are not filled up like in Homerite rosettes, but they are not totally empty. You can see the central cellular processes coming into the central space. So this is the Flexner Wintersteiner rosette. Let us see the cartoon now. So we are drawing the cells now, putting the nucleus next, and then watch carefully. The central processes, cell processes are extending into the center, but the space is also empty. The empty space is having cellular extension of the cytoplasmic processes, and again these are surrounded by the same material. This type of rosettes are seen in classically retinoblastoma, also seen in medulloepithelioma and pineoblastoma. Ependymal rosettes, they are seen in ependymoma. They are seen only 20 to 30% of cases, and they show central space. It looks like a gland, but remember, there is no basement membrane. That's very, very important. No basement membrane. If you imagine glands without basement membrane, that is ependymal rosettes. Let us see the cartoon. Cells are being drawn. For convenience sake, I have drawn the pyramidal cells, nuclei, and then the central space is empty, whereas the neuropil is seen outside. So this is a true ependymal rosette. This is very specifically seen in ependymoma, but unfortunately not all ependymomas will show this ependymal rosettes. Sometimes these ependymal rosettes may be elongated, and that is known as ependymal canals. They are trying to form the ventricles. As you know, the ependymal cells are lining and forming the ventricular lining epithelium. And the last rosette is a pseudo rosette. Here the central hub or central space will show a blood vessel, and this blood vessel is non-malignant component of the normal stroma of the tumor. Okay, and this is the rosettes around the central vascular space. Let us see the diagram now. So these are all the cells. We are drawing the nuclei now, and now you watch carefully. Blood vessels are there in the center of the rosettes. These are the non-neoplastic component. Sometimes you can see collagen also in the center, whereas the neuropil is seen in between the cells and outside the cell. The center doesn't have the neuropil. That's why it is called as pseudorosettes. Again, the definition of pseudorosette is the central space is occupied by non-neoplastic stromal element, namely blood vessels and collagenous stroma. And sometimes the blood vessels can be hyalinized and fibrotic. Why these rosettes are formed, we don't know the mechanism of formation of the rosettes. A lot of hypotheses are not there, but we don't know the pathogenesis or the formation mechanism of formation of the rosettes. Now, these pseudorosettes are seen in ependymoma, medulloblastoma, primitive neuroectodermal tumor, central neurocytoma, glioblastoma, and the monomorphous pielomyxoid astrocytoma. Let us go into the differential diagnosis. When the glands are arranged longitudinally, there is no problem. We can arrange the test tube appearance and it never confused with rosettes. But when they have cut tangentially, they look like rosettes, central hub, radially arranged cells. So how will you differentiate from rosette? It's very easy. So this is the central lumen with the nucleus, and the lumen may have some mucinous material there. And when you do PAS diastase, the basement membrane can be nicely seen around the glands. You can see the basement membrane around the glands. This is one of the very important things to differentiate from the rosettes. Rosettes won't have any basement membrane. Many people never think of the papillae as a differential diagnosis of rosettes. Here I am showing the normal jejunal epithelium with villi. And again, when the villi are seen like this, there is no problem. But when you cut this, when you see the tangential section, and if they are crowded, not only in normal, in some papillary processes, for example, tuberous adenoma or papillary carcinomas metastasizing to the brain, they may look like rosettes. Let us see the cartoon of the papillae. These cells will have a flower-like pattern, and the center will have fibrovascular core. And when you do the staining for PAS diastase, the basement membrane will be seen inside, whereas in the glands it will be seen outside. And in cases of rosettes, no basement membrane. So this understanding is very, very important to differentiate various types of rosettes. To conclude, there are rosettes that are true, and by definition, the central space should be occupied by the tumor or tumor element. In pseudo-rosettes, the central space is occupied by non-malignant stromal component, namely blood vessel. And the differential diagnosis is a tangential section of glands and papillae. And when you do PASD for the basement membrane, you can identify them outside the cells in the glands and inside the cells in the papillae. People ask me what are all the products I use for the video. Just to disseminate the information and stimulate all of you to create videos, I'm telling this. There's a lot of choices, but we have to select with 3 criteria. 1, it has to be economical. Number 2, it has to be easy to use. And number 3, it should serve the purpose. Economical means most of the time for our basic things, we can go for free applications or softwares. I may be mentioning some of the apps and some products, but I don't have any financial connection with any of the products. I use MacBook Air, iPad Pro with Apple Pencil. I use Keynote to make the slideshow. I use Sketches, Tayasui Sketches to draw the cartoons. They have the recording facility also. And I edit the cartoons and the slideshow in iMovie. and they use Zoom meeting software to record the screen sharing and to put it into the YouTube. So that's the end of the small video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any suggestions or anything to make life more easier, please put it in the comment section. Thank you very much and have a great day.